The only true renewable energy is growing plants. That's where we need to go. That is our long-term plan. Regenerative agriculture, what it does is it brings huge amounts of atmospheric carbon and it incorporates them into a cycle which then pushes nutrients deep into the soil. And there is no limit to how much carbon can be stored in the soil. There is literally no limit. One thing that we don't hear about is how climate change is affected by water cycles. If there's no trees and there's no deep-rooted perennials in the landscape, the water basically rushes into the creeks, creates erosion in the process, takes beautiful topsoil, washes it out to sea, and all of that water has left the landscape immediately. What nature produces is carbon. It stores carbon and makes carbon life forms. Integrating trees and agroforestry into grazing systems, into degraded landscape and farming systems, has the benefit of increasing profit. I'll call it abundance and surplus rather than profit and growth. Increasing animal welfare through shade and reducing wind speeds and extremes of temperature, both hot and cold. Plus it also gives us a long-term vision for timber. Regenerative ag effectively brings life. If we think that we're going to be able to solve the world's problem through press the button of solar panels instead of combustion engine and think that that's going to be solving our problem, we just go on as business as usual, that's ridiculous. We need to move ourselves away from extraction and into abundance. Our plans for New Beginnings is for us to be able to utilise that space as a place which is integrated together with our Hope Seed farm using cell grazing, where the cows are in a small paddock for 24 hours and then there's anywhere from 25 to 50 days before they come back to that little patch. Now, integrating into that as well, we would like to be able to bring a diversity of productive trees. So some of those products might be acorns, some of them may be tree fodder. They all have the ability to be able to hold water in the landscape, and they all produce a green canopy for insects and birds and wildlife.
The goal is to have most of the property divided into cell grazing strips. So we're designing them to be the right size for the number of cows that we can sustain on this property, and to have rows of mostly deciduous fire-resistant trees in between.
If you go from being a bare, open, damaged landscape to a landscape which has deep-rooted perennials, tree canopies and biodiversity, all of a sudden you're now creating a water cycle which is captured into the landscape, and water is a mitigator of climate change, big time. Why we farm is to build community, build hope for future generations.